Hello, my name is Luis Moreno from Legion of Racers, and today we are going to be reviewing the latest NASCAR game to be released, NASCAR 21 Ignition from Motorsport Games. NASCAR 21 is Motorsports Games' first racing title they have developed. Among its highlights are the use of Unreal Engine 4 and rFactor 2's game physics, but is it enough to stand out? We'll start with the positives of this game. As many of you may know already, this game uses rFactor 2's handling model for the most part. With minimal driving assists, you could really feel the car oversteering, or as the Americans would call it, going loose, coming out of corners if you apply too much throttle, or if you apply it too early, or, in some cases, if you steer too much. And then there's the graphics. Unreal Engine 4 simply looks stunning in any game that's used, and this one's no exception. You can really see it in the lighting, you can really see it in the details of the track, the cars, and the track objects themselves. But surprisingly, the graphics are well optimized even with 40 race cars going around the track, which would struggle if you put it in Assetto Corsa Competizione. And because of the game engine, it also has a very decent damage model, which you can really see when you hit the car hard on walls or other race cars around the track. And you can really see some nice details around the track, especially when you start a new session, be it practice, qualifying, or the best part during the start of the race, where you get to see all the opening ceremonies. NASCAR 21 features the complete 2021 NASCAR Cup Series roster of cars, drivers, and tracks. You get to see familiar faces like Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, the Busch brothers Kurt and Kyle. And you get 26 tracks, including 6 road courses and 1 dirt oval, with the rest are paved oval tracks. Now we move on to the negatives, and oh boy. Unlike past NASCAR racing games, this doesn't include the lower tier NASCAR championships like the Truck Series and the National Series. And because it only has the Cup Series, the career mode pretty much is pointless. Not only that, you get to choose any team from the start. Doesn't matter if you join RCR, Joe Gibbs, Hendrick, you can pretty much choose them right from the get-go. But if you're really committed into the game's career mode, you may find that you may or may not be able to stay on the same team all throughout. You may be forced to join a lower team depending on your reputation or how well you perform, or otherwise. Teams may ask you to be a championship contender or just keep the car clean on the races. The cars pretty much perform the same regardless of team, so you're better off with the team that has just got started in the 2021 season. And then there's the AI, which I would like to describe as inconsistent. You may find the AI easy on more technical or short tracks or road courses, but on intermediate ovals like Atlanta or Kansas or the new Nashville Speedway, you find that you may struggle to keep up with these AI cars. And on super speedways, they just spread out, there's no draft train or anything, and you can pretty much catch up with them. They just check up on corners when they're not supposed to be lifting or even braking in the first place. I mean, Daytona and Talladega are usually taken flat out. Why would they check up their cars or brake check right in front of you? Also, for some reason, when you bump draft someone on these tracks, the camera in third person view or pretty much any view shakes wildly for some reason, and the driver that you're giving a bump draft to seems to be intimidated and just tries to get out of your way even though you're trying to bump draft him for an advantage. And it only gets worse from here. The pit stops are bugged. Check out this clip and you be the judge.
We've got the speed, now get after them. We didn't come here for seconds. Keep charging. That's good. Let's drive away.
And it's not just the pit stops that are bugged. If you choose not to pit in case of a caution, you get some weird bugs when you try to restart the race. And speaking of caution periods, there's rarely any caution period unless there's a big pileup. I've had incidents myself on the first impression stream. I've tried taking out other cars on track. There's no caution served. And for some reason, there are no stage races or stage racing system in NASCAR 21. This is a letdown for those who are religious with how NASCAR rules work. And now we're on the parts where it's important for sim racers like myself, but these are still negative. NASCAR 21 has very inadequate wheel support. Inadequate in a way that, sure, there are presets for many of the consumer wheels available in the market right now, but the problem is you cannot make a custom mapping of the buttons. You just load a preset, but you cannot change the control schemes. When you're in cockpit view, you don't get any of the heads-up display, and even with heads-up display, there's not enough information on how the car is going. There's no tire wear indicator, and worse, there's no fuel gauge. Like, how many laps of fuel do I have left? Do I always have to rely on the crew chief or the spotter if I have to pit now? I don't know when to pit for fuel and tires. Worse still, it doesn't have virtual mirror on any of the views, not even third person or whatever view you're using. Sure, you have mirrors on the cockpit view, but it doesn't show everything. It doesn't feel complete unless you have an ultra wide screen. And lastly, car setup is very limited to a simple slider. You only get to adjust with a slider with one side showing loose or oversteer, or another side tight. NASCAR 21 Ignition's launch has been disappointing, sad to say, but it has potential. We can only hope that the developers would regularly update this game in the future, particularly on the pit stops and race restarts, as well as improve the user experience, give us information on tire wear, fuel usage, and perhaps the ability to be able to customize our car setups at least. I don't know much else to say about NASCAR 21 other than it could be improved, but as it stands, it's not exactly ideal. And that is it for the review of NASCAR 21 Ignition. Make sure to check out Legion of Racers website and our social media fan pages for updates on future content and events. Until then, see you guys on the virtual tracks.